Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, my name is Guilherme Canela. It's a pleasure to be here moderating this fantastic panel. UNESCO gladly is organizing this, but I want to thank you very much, the colleagues from Adopt AI, the organizers, for actually allowing us to be part of this fantastic conference. And I'm glad that the MC saved me several seconds of my introductory remarks. Actually, she stole some of my thunders in mentioning what is the actual dilemma that we want to discuss here. Maybe that's not even a dilemma. I think it's a complementary approach in the overall discussion of AI and climate change. Obviously, there are so many angles for this discussion that in 25 minutes we needed to select two of them. We could have been different ones. And we are going to try this in a very dynamic way. You have here, as I said, a fantastic panel, as she announced, Pelissier, Global Sustainability Principal from SAP, so with a strong perspective on the private sector. We also have Hélène Costa de Beauregard, c'est bon. She's a project director at the French Ministry of Environment, so the government's perspective. And I have my dear colleague and co-director in UNESCO, Abou, Amani, and he has the perspective of the international organizations, intergovernmental organizations like UNESCO. So, as the MC said, we also want to connect this a bit with COP30. So can I ask how many of you were actually in Belém the last 2 weeks? Anyone? So I'm the only one that was there, so I can tell you a few things. One of them is that AI was a very, very important part of the conversation in Belém. And it was in several tracks, but particularly these two that we are discussing here. How AI, which is a very broad term, as you know, for too many things, but how AI can be a driver in helping to address the climate crisis that we are facing and the other environmental crisis, but also how AI is rapidly becoming part of the problem due to the amount of energy, water, etc., that the data centers, etc., consume. So during this discussion here, we are going to try to address briefly, obviously, those two challenges, try to connect the dots, see how we do that, not in a manichaeist manner, like either everything is either super good or super bad. It's not like that. The actual story is how we build policies that can make these things to dialogue to each other, and this is a bit of our challenge here. So since this should be a very, let's say, dynamic conversation in what is apparently a very short period of time, I say apparently because in Eurovision they do a lot with 3 minutes. So I do hope you three can do like Eurovision champions and do the story in 3 minutes. But in any ways, you know, we need to have some enforcement rules. And since I'm Brazilian, I'm going to appeal a little bit for football. So if you are approaching too fast your 3 minutes or in our initial ping pong, you get a yellow card. If you're really going over, you get a red card. So then conclude and we pass to the next story. I hope not to have to use it. You have the timer there. So look, let's start with the first part of this. That is how we can use these technologies for the public good. Actually, here we have two public goods, right? The environment is a public good, but more and more the United Nations and UNESCO is considering the digital technologies also as digital public goods. So how we connect those two public goods and we make them, and particularly in this case AI, to be on the service of addressing the climate crisis or the environmental crisis. So this is the overall first question, but I want to hear from your different perspectives. So Paul, let me start with you.
Sure. So at SAP, we've introduced AI in all our sustainability solutions. And first, before sharing a few examples, I'd like to share a bit of a reflection, of an observation on how the perception of AI by sustainability professionals has drastically evolved in the past 2 years. When we introduced our AI embedded features within our sustainability solutions 2 years ago, we see some mixed reaction because the sustainability teams, they tended to see AI as another function tool, something that supply chain, operation, IT would use for their own interests, but that would just create an externality that sustainability team would have to take care of. And fast forward 18 months, a recent Deloitte study from 2025 towards 2,000 C-level executives shows that 81% globally are actually already using AI to foster their sustainability outcomes. And 16% are planning to do so in the next 12 months, meaning you don't want to end up in the 3% remaining. And what we see as a main blocking point for adoption of AI by sustainability teams is the question of data readiness. They feel they need perfect ESG data to get started with AI. But the reality is, also today, as part of the studies, we see that the main obstacle when it comes to achieving sustainability outcomes is still the question of data readiness and availability of granular environmental data. So I'll share a very concrete example on how you could still benefit from AI wherever you are on your sustainability maturity journey. Our customer Arting Technology, a cable and connector manufacturer, has deployed our sustainability modules towards 13,000 products to compute the product carbon footprint over 13,000 different references. And that means actually more than 100,000 of transactions to compute CO2 for. They wanted to be as granular as this to be able to steer the net zero target out of this. And the thing is, before AI, that was not even possible to consider such a level of granularity. And now with AI, by the click of a button, they get that product carbon footprint visibility and the whole transactional view of the CO2 emissions of every transactions. But the thing is, AI sustainability teams are not meant to remain just data consolidator and compliance and reporting functions. They need to evolve towards becoming change agents, to put together all the functions, the logistic, the supply chain, to collaborate together towards achieving sustainability targets. And that's exactly how we define at SAP the notion of agentic AI. We see agentic AI as digital change agents. And that's the step further that companies need to consider, that require very mature, granular available data to be able to deploy use cases that our customer Mathieu Fompak, for example, has deployed a sort of design AI agent to help designers to choose among different more sustainable alternatives in designing the seats by pulling together all those logistics, supply chain data together.
That's fantastic. And Hélène, before we came here, to the stage, you were actually mentioning some of these points, right? Data, and I guess for government is also a huge challenge, the coordination mechanism on all the ministries dealing with environment, and so I suppose some of the elements are similar, right?
Yes, absolutely, and thank you so much, Guilherme, for inviting me to speak on this panel and to also start this discussion about the why. Why do we want to use AI for? I think it's no time to discuss, and it would be irrelevant if we want to use AI or not. We'll have to use AI. But it's also we're also at a moment where we have to make sure that we're making AI work for the greater good. And for us at the Ministry of Environment, it means that using AI to decarbonize, to adapt, and to preserve. And if we do not do that, if we're not putting AI to the use of the greater good, it will be a major miss and a major mess. It's really important to keep that in mind. So in France, actually, we've been acting on trying to leverage AI for the benefit of the ecological transitions since 2022. So even before ChatGPT was going mainstream within our national AI strategy, we launched a 40 million euros program to pilot AI project at the local level that will boost the ecological transition. We selected 12 projects because we wanted those AI to be like down to earth and to solve real issue. And among those 12 projects, we're starting to see some results, which is really important to have on-the-ground results to make sure that AI is really relevant and really put to use. So one example is Noisy-le-Grand. It's a small size, medium-size French city. It's 70,000 inhabitants, and they wanted to use AI to decrease their energy bill within their public buildings. First, that was the first use, and then to identify where they should prioritize their renovation work. And after only 18 months, they've been able to reduce their energy bill by 20% and make 2.2 million euros savings. That's huge. So that's the kind of AI we want to see implemented. The second phase is to make sure that we have those projects going mainstream, and we're doubling down on it. So we launched last year our climate change adaptation plan, and we had a dedicated item on how to use AI for adaptation. We're also launching AI Pioneer program within our France 2030 project with a stream on ecological transition to make sure that we support AI for cutting-edge application for the environment, and that's how we want to support AI for the ecological transition within the Ministry of Environment in France.
Thank you, fascinating, and also different levels of examples, right? National, medium-sized cities, and so on. Abou, I remember that the last water report concentrated a lot on this, so you heard the experience of a huge private company, of a national government, but you are in a privileged seat in UNESCO because you collect the different examples from our 194 member states. So what is your view on this idea, using AI as a powerful tool to make this advance? Right?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Guilherme. Within UNESCO, we have been using AI to support government building resilience. You know, with the issue of environmental degradation, climate change, pollution, we need to build resilience of governments. And AI is used for that purposes when it's come to water management, disaster risk reduction, biodiversity conservation, ecosystem management, and also promoting open science. For water resource management, we have been using AI for machine learning within water governance, climate adaptation, and particularly for modeling and forecasting. We have a concrete example in Eastern Africa, in Mozambique and Zimbabwe, where we put in place, using AI, a national early warning system, which is helping to provide on a right time and alert so that decision can be taken on the appropriate time scale. On the disaster risk reduction, we are using AI for prevention, preparedness, and also recovery. And particularly on the issue of communication. And we developed, for example, also in Eastern Africa, a mobile chatbot for communication both way before, during, and after emergency, where we train more than 700 disaster personnel to use that communication channel. And this concrete example, now in biodiversity conservation, we are using AI for monitoring. Monitoring when it's come to the issue of habitat. For example, we have AI used for monitoring habitat for chimpanzees, and also for issue of changing of vegetation within the biosphere reserve in Guinea. And lastly, for open science, we are using AI for what we call the remote access laboratories, in order to help those who are in the south who don't have access to those high performance laboratories to be used from remote. So those are concrete examples where really we are leveraging AI in supporting government providing solution to their challenges.
Thank you very much. When my children listen, people in UNESCO like Abou to speak, and then they listen to me speaking about governance, they say to me, why you don't work in that area of UNESCO? It's much more interesting than the things you do, and we can actually understand the purpose. So thank you very much. And so as you saw, we tried to speak about what we can do in terms of greening with AI, using AI for that purpose in a strategic manner. But we also have the other side of the conversation, that is true, these tools are very intensive in consuming resources, energy, water, and so on. Earlier this year, UNESCO with the University College of London published a major report on that, underlining this challenge. And so I would like to concentrate the final part of our conversation on this, right? It's not one thing or the other, it's one thing and the other, right? So everything you said before is something we need to pursue, but how we do that, mitigating the risks that the technology also offers, particularly for the environmental conversation.
Yeah, sure. So it's a two-sided problem. And at SAP, we've made sustainability a strategic priority for over 15 years now. We've committed to a net zero 2030 target in 2022. And the rise of AI doesn't change that. It actually increased the scale of our responsibility. Because with the SAP Business AI, our Joule Assistant, and overall the AI first product strategy of SAP, necessarily an energy increase related with our product, consumption related with our product would come. And we take that very seriously. We don't want AI to alter our sustainability strategy, but rather use it to reinforce our sustainability strategy. And that's why we need a coalition like the Coalition for Sustainable AI that we've joined back in February at the AI Action Summit to help define the standards the industry need when it comes to sustainable AI. And that's also why we applied strict principle of reliable, relevant, and responsible AI to make sure that the use cases that we deployed are contextualized, are leveraging real data, accurate data, but also made specific for the use cases that we enable, but also that they aligns with the AI ethics frameworks that we have. Now, I will just give 3 examples of the actions we take to make our AI more sustainable. First one, just to show how broad it could be. The first one is within our AI Agent Studio, we fostered the frugal by design approach by also enabling our customer to choose for smaller, specialized model aside the very large LLMs, because we all know that the size of a model is a big energy consumption issue and driver of emissions per query. Second is offering locally EU-hosted AI options to help our customers benefit from a more decarbonized energy grid versus other regions. And the third is developing innovations that foster more efficient sort of models, a new kind of models. And we've just announced RPT-1, which is a model made not to consume free text, but to consume SAP structured data. And this has already proven results and being much more efficient than deploying a generic LLM for that same use case. So we are trying to optimize at every corner of AI how this is driving energy consumption and then generating emissions. But okay, yeah, go on. No, final comment is the scale of our responsibility is also with greening with AI, and we're investing specifically on that area, considering that 70 to 80% of the world's revenue actually touch an SAP system. So our main action, sustainable action, is to make sure those transactions are driving sustainable outcomes.
Thank you. So, I mean, this idea of smarter models, sometimes smaller models, but also, you didn't say those words, but several elements here are related to the transparency of all of these, right? So, Hélène, I guess from the governmental perspective, you are pursuing similar targets, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But before diving into how France is trying to push for greener AI at our national and international level, I'd like to try to explain why we cannot overlook the environmental cost of AI, and I want to give you at least 3 reasons for that. So the first one is that climate committee advancements are not negotiable. They are built on science and law of physics, and we have to make sure that AI doesn't align with our planet boundary. That's the first reason. The second one is fairness. So AI is resource and energy consuming, and in many parts of the world, and even at our SMEs level, you don't have the computational power to run LLM. So for a question of fairness, you need to have leaner and more sustainable AI. Third, the AI ecosystem is running into an energy wall, and I'm quoting a forecast by Anthropic dating from July 2025, saying that for the US AI sector to keep their edge on AI, they will need by 2028 to add 50 gigawatts of electricity capacity to train and to run their models. That's huge. That's 80% of the nuclear capacity of France. And last but not least, it's also like economics 101. We know that there has been like huge investments pouring into AI, and to make sure that you get your return on investment, you need AI to scale and to be adopted widely. And to be able to do that, you need a cheap AI. So that's the reason why also like in France, we are really committed on making sure that AI is sustainable. We have been doing that by launching the first, it was a world premiere framework for frugal AI to help companies to understand what frugal AI means, how to monitor it, and how to implement best practice to reduce the environmental impact of AI. We are also like committed to support transparency, because you can only make progress if you monitor your progress, and we don't have enough transparency. And I just want also to say that we really welcome the transparency effort made by Mistral AI, by Google and NVIDIA. It's a good step forward, but that's not enough. And we want to work with the international organization and standardization organization to be able to foster this transparency trend.
Thank you so much. Abou.
Yeah, within UNESCO, it's very clear for us. We need to have an AI which is environmentally sustainable. Of course, it's good to be ambitious, but we need to keep in mind the sustainability. And as already highlighted, UNESCO had published a report which is clearly showing that by being smaller, smarter, we can contribute to reduce the consumption of energy up to 90%. This is huge, and we should really encourage such kind of approach. Having AI smaller doesn't mean that it's weaker. What we want is an AI which is smarter, more inclusive, and more green. You highlighted also the issue of transparency and global governance. We believe that's essential. For that, we need to have standards. What are the metrics which we can monitor and abide the AI providers? This is very important, those metrics framework. So UNESCO is working in that sense. The last point is building capacity to change the mind so that people can take forward that idea of having green AI, which is inclusive, efficient, and also which is helping to be sustainable on the use of water, on the use of energy. Innovation and efficiency should go hand in hand. And in that regard, greening AI isn't about slowing down, but it's about accelerating the right kind of innovation. I repeat myself, which is efficient, inclusive, and sustainable.
Thank you so much. These panelists are fantastic. No one got a red card, only yellows sometimes. So to conclude, if we were in the era already dead of the old Twitter, 140 characters, what would be your tweet of this session?
Use AI already now to bring automation to the sustainability function, but don't be left a part of the upcoming agentic AI revolution that other functions would fall should take. So put sustainability on the map of this.
I would say just do it sustainably, and if you don't want to do it for the planet, doing because it's good for your bottom line.
From my side, I can say that AI that serves everyone, everywhere, but also protecting the planet.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for these great guys here. And do it the way we are planning, and let's keep the ball rolling. Thank you.
Perfect timing, Guilherme. This was really absolutely impressive. Fantastic. Thank you very much.